we are learning about yet another important aspect of training and development, and that is very crucial in these days where people are working from home for organizations. So we learnt about e-learning, what is e-learning, what are the various types of e-learning, and what are the advantages of e-learning. So moving further, let's discuss about the aspects of e-learning. So there are broadly two aspects of e-learning. The first one being diversity of learners. So the learner composition in e-learning is highly diverse, and e-learning is a cost-effective way, and taking advantage of this fact, people who could not make it to a university course may also join. So this is a very important, and I would say it lays great emphasis on the power of the internet, because there are so many people who wish to take any university degree or take education, but they could not at their due to any family issues or financial issues. But still, if they want to learn, they wish to learn something, they can learn through the internet. And apart from that, when we are talking of diversity of learners, there are people of so many age groups coming from different backgrounds, different organizations. They also learn through the internet, and e-learning helps each one of them. So people from different cultures and language orientation, they can also enroll for these e-learning modules. And the second aspect is the teacher-student interaction. So friends, it is at times difficult to maintain a smooth and energetic delivery while advancing slides, checking for virtual raised hands and answering notes. So if you have attended online classes, you have seen your teacher juggling between keeping the students on mute or answering or having the knowledge as to who has raised the hand and who has to be questioned. So that creates sometimes the delivery is not very smooth. So the actual interaction, though there is interaction, but the actual the objective of training is not complete and very effective. And also there is lack of eye contact and body language, and that actually makes it difficult for the trainer to connect with their audience. So as a trainer, it is very important that I look into the eyes of my trainees or the audience, and my body language also has an impact on the energy of the trainees. If I am slow and I am sluggish, the audience will feel bored. But if I am energetic, my voice is energetic, the audience also feels connected. But here in e-learning, that is missing, that connect is missing. So speakers at times, they lose their learners if they are not focused and they do not promote interaction. So here it is on the shoulders of the speaker or the trainer that he has to engage, and also he has to focus all the time, that engagement has to be maintained, and they should try and incorporate more of activities where the trainee has to interact, has to participate, so that the session does not become boring. But again, this kind of interaction is missing when we talk of asynchronous learning, where it is a pre-recorded lecture and the learner has to just sit back and learn. So these were the two aspects of e-learning. So friends, moving further, we will discuss about the second topic of e-learning, that is blended learning. So as the name suggests, it is a technology that continues to evolve and impact all aspects of our daily lives. Learning these new technologies cannot be overlooked. We know that the incorporation of technology into our work and into our lives cannot be denied. But here evolving, it refers to moving ahead to the next level without decimating the old. So we cannot just ignore the old methods. Evolving here means that we have to move ahead, we have to incorporate technologies, but at the same time we have to keep the best part of the traditional or the older methods, so that we take advantage of both the words, the positives of the old and the advantages of the new. And that is the main concept of blended learning. So what is blended learning? So blended learning combines best of two training environments. Traditional was the face-to-face learning, and e-learning where you meet evolving needs of new age learners. So it takes learning outside the walls of classroom, making it possible to access the resources both online and offline. So in a layman language, we can say that blended learning blends online and offline. So wherever you need online, you can have an online session. Wherever you feel it's better to be offline, you take advantage of the offline. So that is what we mean by blended learning. So the concept of blended learning has gained great popularity over the last few years due to the COVID pandemic, as I stated, with its advantages being lauded by learning professionals. And blended learning, it combines the benefits of traditional classroom teaching with emerging technology to make learning more real time, more contextual, and it is more engaging. So the shortcomings of all are diminished in blended learning. So next topic for today is the types of blended learning models. So friends, we are going to learn these 5 methods or 5 types of blended learning models. The first one is the flipped model. The second is the face-to-face driver model. The third is the rotational model. Fourth is the flex model, and fifth is the enriched virtual model. So let's briefly learn about all these models. So coming to the first one, it is called flipped model. You might have heard this term. It is used synonymously with blended model or blended learning or flipped model. These are used interchangeably. So the original learning framework, it gets inverted. So how? Let's learn. So this model puts focus on online learning, where learners consume the content on their own time, either at home or before class, and the class time is devoted to active learning and applying the newly learned skills. So for example, if I have to teach a certain topic in my class, I will send a small video of that particular topic to my class. So the students will watch that video at home, and when they come to the class, they have a basic knowledge of that particular topic. So in the class, we will just be applying that particular knowledge or that particular skill that I want to teach my students. So this is what flipped model is. So this can be done in form of discussions or case studies or group projects. But before coming to the class, the students have a basic knowledge of what is to be discussed in the class tomorrow or subsequently. So the next model is the face-to-face driver model. So this model is very close to the traditional classroom training, and most of the training takes place in a classroom setting under the guidance of an instructor. Now this approach offers individual personalized support to learners who are struggling to grab new concepts or falling behind the training curriculum. So there are certain slow learners who might not be getting or understanding the new concepts. So here the instructor or the trainer, they discuss about the problems in the classroom setting itself. So it is more of a face-to-face learning or teaching model. The third one is the rotational model. So here the learners, they are expected to follow a fixed schedule and rotate through both self-paced online learning and face-to-face interaction. So here it is a mix of again online learning and face-to-face interaction, but the schedules they are fixed but flexible, making training progress tracking easier. So it also allows the learners to practice what they have learned, filling any learning gaps. So if there are any gaps, if you haven't understood any particular topic, there you can go and interact with the trainer, but remaining progress or remaining program is through the online program. Next is the flex model. So here it gives the learners a flexible yet personalized learning experience that is specifically tailored to their needs. It allows online learning to take lead as the core transmitter of material in overall learning experience, while the instructors provide needed support in small group settings. So, it is more focused on online learning itself, and it also allows the students to customize their learning paths and schedules also. So, it is more flexible and more personalized, we can say, in comparison to the previous model. So, here again the focus is more on online learning, but the instructor can take interactive sessions, but in small group settings. The next one is the enriched virtual model. So, it is again very similar to the flex model with online training as its major component, and it has become very increasingly popular in this era of remote work. However, unlike the flex model, learners must go through a scheduled instructor-led classroom session either in the physical or the virtual classroom. That is what makes it enriched. So, it enriches the remote training or learning experience by enabling the learner instructor interaction through online platforms. So, here the learner and the instructor, they are interacting not in the physical mode, but again through the online platforms only. So, that is in close similarity to the flex model itself. So, now moving further on the topic of blended learning. So, let us quickly understand what are the advantages of blended learning. So, the advantages can be divided into two aspects. One would be the advantage that a learner has of blended learning, and the second would be the advantage that an instructor or the trainer has for blended learning. So, first let us quickly understand that what are the benefits of blended learning for the students or for the trainees or for the learners. So, the first benefit is that it benefits both in-person and virtual learning modes. So, it takes every type of learner into account, whether they prefer traditional classroom, online sessions or a mixture of both. So, it helps break the monotony of corporate training and achieve higher employee engagement levels through a plethora of training modes. So, since it is blended, at times you are bored of sitting in a classroom lecture, and at the same time you might be bored of learning anything online. So, when you are undertaking a blended learning module, you can have the advantage of both the types of online as well as the offline methods, and there is more employee engagement when you incorporate such learning modules in your organization. The second advantage is that it cuts the costs and improves ROI. So, as fewer trainers are required for lesser time, it means fewer expenses for travel and accommodation. Lesser time is spent in traveling means increased productivity. So, this reduced cost plus increased productivity means greater return on investment. So, whatever you are investing, the returns are greater than whatever you have invested in the training of your employees. Then it facilitates training feedback. Now, this allows your employees to track their performance via periodic online quizzes and tests that saves time spent in collecting the training feedback in a physical environment. So, since the employees are undertaking online training, so they can easily track their own progress because there are tests and there are quizzes whenever you complete one particular set or one module. Whenever you complete that module, you will get a test, and then you have to answer the questions. If the result is satisfactory, then only you can move to the next aspect, or you can easily understand where you are lagging. So, it allows you, it gives you the time to understand your weaknesses, and it makes it easier for organizations to monitor as well as measure the effectiveness of their training programs, so they can again make the improvements as required. Another advantage is that it allows employees to learn at their own pace. So, we have learned that it leaves no employee behind, as it allows every employee to learn at their own pace, and they can ask queries in person during the live sessions. So, even if you are a slow learner, you can learn at your own pace. So, it is a win-win for balancing busy schedules, employee preferences and pace of learning. Then it is blended learning can be customized. So we have discussed that you can customize it. It offers a unique opportunity to customize the training to meet employees exactly where they are in terms of skills and knowledge. So I might be having certain level of understanding of a particular skill, but I need to enhance some advanced skills. So that again the training module can be customized depending upon my current knowledge. I might be 0 in that skill, but I might be at a 50% on that particular skill. So you can customize for both the category of people. So information, it can be presented in different formats based on employees' learning and preference and goals. Then there is increased knowledge retention. So since it incorporates both the advantages of online and offline, so the employees or the learners, they get more, they can have more of retention. So it helps ensure that all employees, whether they are visual, auditory or kinesthetic learners, they are addressed. So let me explain these three terms. Visual learners are learners who grasp more of visual things, or they can learn when they see something on the screen. They are called as visual learners. But there are certain people who are auditory learners who can who are more active while they are listening to something. So they are called as auditory learners. Then there are kinesthetic learners. They are learners who actually learn by doing, by touching things or by actually doing those things. So these are three kinds of learners. So when we talk of blended learning, we are actually addressing all these three types of learners, because visual and auditory can be taken care of in the online sessions, and kinesthetic learners can learn during the offline session where they are actually performing what they have learned in the online session. Then this is a type of reinforcing training by activating more senses, and it helps retain information longer than in a traditional approach, because here you are seeing, you are listening and you are actually performing. So you are using all your senses. So that is why we say that the knowledge retention in blended learning is more if you undergo a simple e-learning or a traditional classroom learning. So that is why this is the greatest advantage of blended learning. Now what are the advantages for the educators or the trainers? So the first point is that teaching across contexts. So educators can draw on a wide range of resources to provide learning materials across different contexts. For example, they could use lectures, tutorials, practical settings when teaching a particular topic. So there is a wide array of contexts that can be used while you are teaching in a or you are training in a blended mode. Then technology can facilitate different pedagogical approaches. Using a blended learning can actually encourage active learning, the use of real world scenarios, social learning and the application of knowledge to new situations. So this is again an advantage for the trainers. Another advantage is that you can set goals and track the progress of the trainees. So many blended learning tools, they allow the teachers and trainers to track the performance of their students. So this can give educators a better understanding and insights into which methods are most effective. So they can work upon those methods, and if you feel that this particular method has not shown very good results, you can minimize the use of those methods. So it actually helps the trainers to track the progress of their people. Then it creates a tailored approach. So we discussed that it is a very customized kind of thing. So by creating online resources, educators can focus on tailoring their face-to-face class time to the needs of their students. So depending upon the needs of their students, they can actually tailor their session. So what component would be online, what component would be offline. So they can just decide upon the training module depending upon the needs and desires of their students. Now if we talk of advantages, there are certain disadvantages also. So as far as the learners are concerned, the disadvantage of blended learning is that the access to resources. So since we say that you need to have a computer, you need to have an internet facility, so blended learning model often requires students to utilize technology outside of the classroom. That might not be possible for every student, because not every learner will have equal access to the resources, which can make online learning difficult and even impossible at times. Another disadvantage for learners is the supporting individual learners. So students with different needs and digital literacies may not find technology based learning as accessible without the right level of support. So definitely when it comes to technology, everybody is not very savvy as far as the usage of that technology is concerned. So you definitely need certain support to understand how to navigate a particular online module. So there it can be a disadvantage for the learner. So then there is a lack of direct contact. So in the online methods, although it is self-directed learning can be beneficial, but yet the learners that are struggling with online material, they might not be able to find solutions by themselves. So they cannot just get up and ask the teacher or the trainer. So at times that lack of direct contact turns out to be a disadvantage of blended learning. Now, moving further, these are certain disadvantages for the trainers. So as trainers also, blended learning can pose certain disadvantages to them. The first one being that it is often a bottom-up approach. So teachers or other staff often have to take initiative with blended learning. So even let's not talk of the trainees or the students, the educator or the trainer himself or herself, they also must have a formal instruction, a formal knowledge of how to undertake a blended training method. So as such, there is a need for formal instruction and professional development to support their blended learning practice. So that is again very important. Another disadvantage is that the infrastructure itself may not exist. So for a trainer also, it is very important that he or she must also have a computer, an internet and all those facilities. So it can be difficult at times to set up internal structure needed to implement blended learning. So the resources and budget may not be available. So that is again a disadvantage for the trainer. So another disadvantage is the time constraints. So moving towards a blended learning environment can take time. So many organizations have moved, but some are still struggling to incorporate online learning. So there they will be requiring more of time. So necessary setup and logistics, training and material preparation is also required. So that makes it a more time consuming process. So it can be difficult to manage with the current teaching requirements. So it will take time for organizations to incorporate blended learning or e-learning whenever we can say that a lot of infrastructure is involved. So friends, today we discussed about a very important aspect of training and development, that is the use of electronic learning, online learning or web-based learning called as e-learning, and we also discussed about blended learning, which uses a part of online learning and a part of offline or physical learning or physical training, whereby there is a mix of a certain portion of the training is conducted online and some portion of training is conducted offline in physical mode. Now, as far as the advantages or disadvantages are concerned, all these methods will definitely have certain advantages, certain disadvantages. It will now obviously depend upon the organizations and how much they want to actually invest in the training and what kind of people are there, how much technology they know and how keen they are to take up all these training methods. We will discuss about some other aspects of training and development in the next couple of lectures. Thank you.